They call him the Black Pope, not for the robes he wears, though black cassocks have long been his mark, but for the shadows that cling to his name. Shadows of influence, power, and secrets whispered in dark corners of Rome. Officially, he is the superior general of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. But in hushed circles, beneath the vaulted ceilings of cathedrals and behind the locked doors of embassies, some insist he is more than that. They claim he is the true ruler of the Vatican, a man who commands not just priests but kings, not just souls but nations. And so we begin our journey. Step with me into the marble heart of the Vatican. The year is a cold wind lingers over Rome, carrying the scent of burning oil and wet stone. Inside the papal palace, the Curia, Rome's ancient court of cardinals, waits in silence. Red robes flow like blood against the dim candlelight, but in the shadows stands a figure less noticed. His robe is black, plain, austere, his eyes sharp, calculating. He does not speak. He does not need to, for even the cardinals know this man is dangerous. The Jesuits had risen from obscurity less than a century earlier, forged by the fiery zeal of Ignatius of Loyola, a soldier turned mystic. Founded in 1540, the Society of Jesus had sworn absolute loyalty to the Pope. But soon whispers began. The Pope might rule in white, but the Jesuit general ruled in black. His oath was not just of faith, but of obedience. And through obedience came control. The Jesuits were everywhere, their network spread across Europe and beyond. Missions in Asia, schools in France, confessional boxes in Spain, advisors in the courts of kings. They were not bishops, not cardinals, yet their power rivaled both. By the 17th century, monarchs trembled at their influence, and some whispered, perhaps the Pope himself did too. Pause here, listen, imagine Rome at night. The basilicas silent, their doors shut. Lanterns flicker on cobbled alleys, the sound of distant hooves echoing off ancient stone. But somewhere inside a barred chamber, a Jesuit general drafts a letter in cipher. The parchment is sealed, the courier dispatched. No one knows its words but him. It will travel by horseback across Europe, reaching Jesuit houses from Prague to Paris, Lisbon to Lima, and each one will obey. Instantly, silently, as if the general's word carried divine authority. This is why he was called the Black Pope, because unlike the man in white whose every decree was debated, opposed or delayed, the man in black commanded obedience like a shadow army. He did not need to appear in public. His hand moved invisibly across the chessboard of nations. And so the mystery deepens. Was the Black Pope merely a spiritual leader of a zealous order? Or had the Jesuits carved out a hidden empire buried beneath the very heart of Christendom? Consider the 1600s. Europe was aflame with religious wars. The 30 Years' War tearing apart Germany, Catholic and Protestant spilling each other's blood. And yet, wherever battles raged, Jesuit advisors were present, guiding, whispering, right. The question was asked even then, were they protecting the faith or were they pulling the strings? Their motto was Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. Noble work. But as their schools shaped the minds of nobles, as their confessors guided the souls of monarchs, skeptics wondered, whose glory did they truly serve? God's or their own generals? Some claimed their loyalty to the Pope was a mask. The Jesuits, they said, answered only to their general. And the general himself, he lived in Rome within walking distance of St. Peter's Basilica. Yet unlike the Pope, he was never elected by the world's cardinals. His election came from within, by his brothers bound to him by an oath so strict, it chilled even seasoned men of faith. That oath, according to their critics, was like no other. It bound them to secrecy, to infiltration, even to deception if needed. Documents, some real, some forged, circulated through Europe, claiming the Jesuits swore to place their order above all, even above nation. Whether true or slander, it shaped their reputation forever. And then there were the darker whispers. Whispers of Jesuits in disguise, slipping into Protestant lands, posing as merchants, scholars, even soldiers. Whispers of coded letters, invisible inks, and assassination plots. When monarchs fell suddenly, when treaties collapsed overnight, suspicion turned toward the men in black. Could one general, A single figure cloaked in shadow truly orchestrates such reach. Let us step further into the mystery. The year is 1773. By now the Jesuits' power had reached its peak. Their schools educated Europe's elite. Their missions stretched from China to the Americas. Their confessors sat at the ears of kings. But power breeds enemies, and in that year Pope Clement XIV, under pressure from Catholic monarchs, did the unthinkable. He suppressed the Jesuit order entirely. The society was disbanded, their properties seized, their members scattered, the Black Pope's throne empty. But here is where the story turns chilling, for even without their order, even stripped of titles, the Jesuits did not vanish. They went underground. Some fled to Russia, where Catherine the Great refused to expel them. Others blended into universities, quietly maintaining networks. And always, the figure of the Black Pope loomed, as if the general's spirit still lingered, waiting to return. And return they did. In 1814, after 40 years in exile, the Jesuits were restored by Pope Pius VII, stronger, wiser, more secretive than ever. And so the question burns, why restore them? Was the Vatican itself dependent on the shadow power of the Black Pope? Did the popes truly command the Jesuits, or had the Jesuits been pulling the Pope's strings all along? As we peel back the centuries, we find the same unsettling pattern. In moments of crisis, wars, revolutions, reformations, the Jesuits were there, and behind them a single man in black robes, unknown to most of the world, but feared by those who knew. Now, step with me into a darkened archive beneath Rome. Dust clings to forgotten shelves. Ancient manuscripts lie in silence. But here in fading ink, a note is found, a letter once addressed to a Jesuit general. It speaks of obedience, of secrecy, of influence beyond thrones. It is unsigned, and yet its tone carries authority beyond kings. Who was this man? What powers did he wield? And why, after centuries, does the title Black Pope still inspire fear, suspicion, and awe? The trail grows darker now. In the next step of our journey, we will follow the Jesuits through revolutions, into the 20th century, into wars and conspiracies that shaped the modern Vatican itself. And we will ask, does the Black Pope still rule today? Hidden in plain sight, beneath the splendor of the Vatican, deep in the veins of its labyrinthine halls, another order moves with silent precision, cloaked in shadow, bound by oaths that echo like chains across centuries. They are the company of Jesus, the Jesuits. To the outside world, they are educators, missionaries, men of letters. But to those who dig deeper into the layers of power, they are something else entirely. The hidden generals of the papacy, sworn to wage wars of influence, control, and silence. At their helm stands not the Pope of white robes, but a figure cloaked in black, known simply as the Black Pope. Whispers say he does not need the throne of St. Peter. His throne is the shadow itself. The Black Pope, the superior general of the Jesuit order, rules not through the pageantry of blessings and masses, but through networks invisible, threads that bind kings, bankers, spies, and scholars alike. His influence is felt not in sermons broadcast to the faithful, but in the quiet, decisive movements that alter history without leaving fingerprints. Step back with me to the year 50. Europe was aflame with schism. The Protestant Reformation had cracked Christendom apart, and Rome bled power with each kingdom that broke away. In that chaos, a Basque noble soldier turned mystic, Ignatius of Loyola, founded the Society of Jesus. On the surface it was to serve Christ and the Pope, but its structure was unlike any order before it. The Jesuits did not bind themselves to cloistered monasteries or the slow rhythms of prayer. They became soldiers in disguise, intellectual warriors, political infiltrators, confessors to kings. They were everywhere and nowhere, answering only to one man, their superior general. And it is here the mystery begins, for the superior general is no ordinary head of an order. His oath, whispered in secret chapels, speaks of obedience not just to the Pope, but to the mission, a mission above crowns, above nations, even above the papacy itself. Some claimed the Jesuits were more loyal to their own general than to the Vatican. Others claimed the papacy itself feared their unchecked power. It is in this paradox that the figure of the Black Pope takes shape. Dressed in the dark cassock of his office, His power is hidden yet overwhelming. Even Catholic monarchs feared his influence, for a whisper from the Black Pope could decide whether a dynasty would flourish or collapse. But what makes this figure so feared, even centuries later? Some say it is the Jesuit oath itself, an oath preserved in whispers, inked in forbidden text. In it, the Jesuit swears to infiltrate, to deceive, to bend the world toward the will of Rome, even through means of assassination and manipulation. Skeptics dismiss this as anti-Catholic propaganda, yet the chilling consistency of accusations across centuries, from Protestant England to Imperial Russia, from revolutionary France to modern conspiracy theorists, paints an unsettling picture. Could all these voices, across time, be wrong? Look deeper still, into the shadows of the Vatican archives. There are records faded, fragile, that speak of Jesuit hands, guiding treaties, stirring revolutions, toppling empire. In South America, they carved out their own dominions, reducing entire regions into mission states, where their word was law, their crosses towering like banners of conquest. In China, they entered the Forbidden City itself, cloaked not in cassocks, but in silk robes, becoming advisors to the emperor. Who else but the Jesuits could whisper into the ears of both Pope and pagan monarch, alike straddling the world of faith and empire? Yet, for all their reach, they were not invincible. The 18th century saw monarchs across Europe unite in one rare cause: to expel the Jesuits. Portugal, France, Spain, all declared them enemies of the state. The order was dissolved in 1773 by Pope Clement XIV, a decision said to have cost him his life. For within a year the Pope was dead. Some whispered poison, others divine retribution. Either way, the Black Pope's shadow remained, even in exile. And when the order was restored decades later, their influence returned sharper, more discreet, more dangerous than ever. Now imagine with me, you walk the Vatican's silent corridors by candlelight. The golden halls give way to darker wings. Somewhere below, behind locked doors and unmarked chambers, sits the office of the Superior General. Few see it, fewer still leave with knowledge of what passes. He is said to command not only priests and missionaries, but networks of informants, intelligence routes, older than any modern spy agents. Some even whisper that the Black Pope holds sway over the White Pope, that the one who blesses the masses from the balcony is but a figurehead, while the one in black guides the true machinery of power. Is it truth? Is it myth? That is the veil we now lift. For every artifact, every suppressed document, every half-burned manuscript leads us deeper into this labyrinth. A labyrinth where faith becomes indistinguishable from politics, and where the man in black stands as a silhouette behind the throne of St. Peter. But the story does not end here. If the Black Pope truly exists as the Vatican's hidden ruler, then what secrets lie buried in the Jesuit archives? What vows bind them to silence? And why do so many revolutions, monarchs, and empires rise and fall under their invisible hand? The answer may lie not only in history, but in the shadowed present.